lucky winners, 2 lucky visitors, will receive a Reference Premier RP1000 subwoofer that we are featuring and talking about today. One will be given away on the Clips channel, and one will be given away on Michael's channel, on the Youthman channel.
That is super exciting. So one thing I'm doing, I'm going to copy your link. For some reason, StreamYard did not start the stream on my end. So I'm going to bring my audience over here.
Let's do that.
In the comments, did it start on our side? That's interesting.
It says working now, maybe? No. It's up now. There we go.
Yeah, on your side, it's good.
Okay. So the videos worked through.
Oh, it is working? Now, okay. Interesting. I guess it was a massive delay.
Huh.
The name of my first punk band, Massive Delay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there we go.
So did the video, were the videos visible or not?
We can always throw them back up. There's more to come.
Okay.
All right. So the topic today, and the prize goes to best questions on both channels. So we'll give away one for best question. How do we define best question? It's TBD. It's totally objective.
That's right. You'll figure it out.
The topic today is Reference Premier subwoofers, and we want to really talk about that. I want to give Ryan the spotlight a little bit. Can you talk about, just in general, what does the line consist of?
Yeah, so we have a 10 through a 16. We got a 10, a 12, a 14, and a 16. Big thing is full line is 19 hertz capable and below. I believe, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, the 16 gets down to 16.5, right?
Yeah, the big boy goes even lower.
Yeah.
It approaches 14 hertz, and the 14 will do 16 hertz. So, yeah.
300, 400, 500, and 800 watts respectively. They are ground shaking. They are incredible. Even the 10 is enough to keep up with a full RP system. When we were auditioning those in the multi-channel room, Mark, it was kind of remarkable just how much it was able to keep up.
Yeah, so we've achieved something that we've always wanted. The entire line is fully Atmos capable. And when I say Atmos, I'm talking about 20 hertz all the way down, flat, not depending on room gain, not depending on plugging ports to get a deeper tuning, but it's this full laminar flow, new evolution to our port design, which we'll cover in detail. And, some of these videos that we showed, and I don't know who got to see them or not. We can play them again, Matt, especially if there was a delay with this getting live, because we opened with these introductory comments from the team. It was a team effort, totally. And Paul Jacobs made some comments as well, just about our history. And I've been around as long as well. In the mid 90s, we launched into subwoofers because we have very high sensitivity loudspeakers, and some of the subwoofer manufacturers that existed then, it was difficult for their product to keep up with our main systems, especially in a home theater configuration. So we were motivated to get into the category with really a different approach, with really precisely engineered bass reflex designs that had higher output and lower distortion at the same time than a typical sealed subwoofer. So in the video, I did mention we harness the laws of physics, and that's how we do it. Instead of fighting them, these are designed really to utilize all the key ingredients for high sensitivity. And large motors, large cabinets, these cabinets are purpose-built. Even the 10-inch is a little monster. Yeah. So we talk about the family, but I'll just mention real quick, what's cool about the Reference Premier family in general is you can pick whatever size you need in the lineup and get really consistent response from a small bookshelf configured system or large floor standers, and the subwoofers follow that as well. depending on your room size, maybe the output you want, you can pick one of the smaller ones, and then you can scale it up to the larger ones. But they all have the same character, quality, bass extension, and just high output, low distortion nature. So that is why they're called Reference Premier. This line is called the Reference Premier subwoofer line.
Mark, I think we should just go ahead and show the video again, because it looks like there was a glitch.
Yeah.
And a lot of our watchers didn't get to see it. So I will
let's
cue
do
it up. Hit it, Britt.
The new generation of Klipsch subwoofers, we are intentionally calling Reference Premier. Reference Premier is a statement of performance in the industry, and these new subwoofers are a statement in subwoofer performance.
Early in my career, when we made the decision to enter the powered subwoofer business, it was really pure in thought. We built the most efficient loudspeakers on earth, and very few subwoofers could keep up with them. Almost overnight, powered subwoofers became the juggernaut that changed the course of the business. We were not just a loudspeaker company that built powered subwoofers. We were a loudspeaker company that had become the number 1 or 2 player in the powered subwoofer business. The one thing that we haven't done in a long, long time is launch the biggest, baddest, loudest, most powerful subwoofers the earth has ever seen.
So these Reference Premier subs are the highest performance subs we've ever made, without a doubt.
The overall output of these subwoofers is ground shaking.
You may think that everything has been done under the sun on subwoofers, but this new line of Reference Premier subwoofers are chock full of innovations.
Klipsch loudspeakers are known for fast transient response, incredible speed and detail, articulation in reproduction. They need this new line of subwoofers to match in the lowest octaves of bass extension and reproduction. This Reference Premier line is a family of products. It is now complete with these subwoofers.
The extra octave in low frequency extension is something that personally has been unheard of for me before. And having that addition to music, movies, and games is out of this world.
The new Reference Premier subwoofers harness the laws of physics for deep, effortless, low distortion, high output bass reproduction.
The cabinets are incredible. The drivers are huge.
When you first see the new Reference Premier subwoofers, you will immediately notice why they are purpose-built and how they're purpose-built. The depth of the enclosure, the deep tuning frequency required by each model.
The surround is so large, and the cone travels in and out such a great distance.
By far more excursion than anything else we've made before.
It looks like a caged animal has just run into the back of the grill, showing all of its power.
We also used aluminum coils on all 4 models. So this helps keep the moving mass down, which will increase the sensitivity.
Higher efficiency, lower distortion, less effort, clean natural bass reproduction. That is the hallmark of the Reference Premier subwoofer line.
This is the product that when you turn on your home theater or your home audio system that puts a smile on your face. It's that scene with the old Max L commercial where the guy is in the chair and his head is blowing back and he's got a smile on his face. That's what these powered subwoofers do.
This is the best subwoofer line Klipsch has ever produced.
I hope you have just as much fun listening to these subwoofers as we had designing them.
That's a high bar. That's a pretty high bar.
Now we're talking.
All right, let's pretend we just started now.
That's right. Welcome, everybody,
Welcome.
to the listening
Hey.
lounge for subwoofers.
Cheers.
Yeah, there you go. We'll do a reboot there.
Mhm. Great stuff. So subwoofers. What made us change the line? What made us decide to rev the subwoofer line? How did we go from we have subwoofers out there to we have new subwoofers? What was the impetus?
I think that when we got into Atmos with the license line, I mean, we were supporting Atmos in cinema, and then in custom home installation with our architectural products, and then the licensed, it was the RP280FA with reference Premier with upfiring drivers, and then of course all the line complement to Atmos. But when we launched with Dolby and we did some of those press junkets, you may remember, Matt, when we spent time with them, we learned that Dolby Atmos was about more than the height channels. It was just the quality of movie production in general. And that enhancement included the low frequency power and reproduction possible in movie soundtracks, just took it to another level. And we came out with the R115, and then that became the SPL 150, truly capable of 20 hertz. And then some of the other models reached fairly deep in the sublines. But we wanted a subline that was 20 hertz capable top to bottom. I hear an echo.
Yeah, I'm hearing it.
Anyway, that's what this new line is all about. Top to bottom, working with Jay and our engineering team. We always wanted this line that was going to effortlessly reproduce the deep bass. It didn't matter which model you picked.
Gotcha. So at some point we're going to do a lightning round because there's so much to talk about with these subwoofers. But I know there's a lot of talk about is this just another clip subwoofer? Is this just another the next generation of what we had before? I'd like to get into a little bit with you guys and talk about, especially with Michael, who disclaimer has not had experience with these subwoofers.
Not at all.
Had experience with previous clip subwoofers, but not with these. So what has changed? If you guys could even talk about the top 5, what are the most drastic improvements?
I would say it's from the bottom up. Jay started from scratch. Now, there were some things that we knew we had some advantages with, the aerofoil port, the shelf port. And we do talk about that in some of our video shorts. But the drivers are reinvented, basically. They're multi-ferrite core magnet structures, very long throw. I think he refers to it as ultra long throw. The X-Max on the 14 and 16 are just extreme. And I think I read somebody saying car subs, if I was into car audio, I'd grab one of these, but, we have, for instance, the 12-inch, if somebody's curious, the 12-inch meets or exceeds the capability of the prior 15. The 14 exceeds it, and the 16 exceeds that. The 10 does extraordinary things. It doesn't even know it's a 10-inch sub. I think it thinks it's a 12-inch sub, our little 10. And I say little 10, but it's shaped like a mortar, like a can.
Yeah, these new subs are a lot longer than what your typical subs are, and that's pretty interesting to see.
So Michael, why do you think that is when you think about the tuning and the port?
Oh my goodness, man. I'm not into physics, but it's going to make that path longer, I would imagine, right?
That's right. For the deep tuning, the natural tuning frequency of the sub, we need a certain length. And the 10 is almost as deep as the 16 when you think about it. So they all need that natural tuning frequency, which really is the key to low distortion and high output. And in a bass reflex enclosure, a well-designed one, let's put it that way, because there are a lot of designs out there that aren't necessarily precision. They might be designed to add some bump, maybe some output, but ours are designed truly to extend the response and to ensure that the woofer is actually moving less toward that natural tuning frequency, which reduces distortion. So really the classic vented enclosure.
So, which is also an efficiency story, which goes back all the way back to Paul W. Klipsch. I mean, just being able to have, I know that in a lot of his designs, he wanted the woofers to move as little as possible.
That's right. That's right. Because he equated excursion to distortion, like in the Klipsch horn, for example. I think it was Jim Hunter who revealed it to us with the acrylic Klipsch horn that at full output with with about 100 watts input, the driver would move a quarter of an inch, which was well within its range. These are designed with very long voice coils that allow, I believe the 14 and 16, they have dual supporting spiders, ultra long throw, surround, and 43 millimeter X Max on the 14 and 46 millimeter X Max, which is the excursion in one direction, X Max Extreme, excursion there. So very, very long throw and linear. So somebody asked about the port. So something along the lines of some people bend their ports in the enclosures to get the depth. And so our approach, and I'll cover this real quick because it's a little bit technical before we get into some of the stuff, but that port that goes into the back of the enclosure, it has what we call an aerofoil. It's a smooth transition instead of a hard edge and taking that right-hand turn that can create turbulence. So we really believe in laminar flow, which if you remember your physics classes in high school or college.
Oh man, don't go there.
Smooth air movement without disruption,
Yeah.
without turbulence. So the air in the enclosure transitioning into the port dimension, but with smooth, undisturbed flow. And that really translates into low distortion, not a lot of chuffing. Sometimes in the deep frequencies, sub ports may struggle with chuffing, especially if there's an elbow in there, which unfortunately a lot of ported subs, if they don't design the cabinet large enough, they may have to take that approach. I mean, there are all kinds of varieties of ways to do it out there, but we decided we're going to just do it our way and with these goals in mind, the Klipsch design philosophy. And it does make them a little different in the marketplace. You can place them any orientation in your room. You can put them against the wall in long ways. You can have them looking at you. Because they're operating in the lowest frequencies, they're not real dependent on orientation of the way you put them in your room. One advantage of the front firing slot port is if you do have a cabinet or a recess, you can just nest it in there and it's all going to be front firing through maybe your custom grill. If you want to do that, you can take the standard grill off and just nest them in there in a custom cabinet or custom installation, for example.
What I think is interesting to that point, Mark, is that a lot of people may not realize that port is just not the hole on the edge of the bottom. There is an entire airfoil design. There's a ceiling on that port that runs all the way along on the inside where the air comes around and then runs in its own chamber there along the bottom for that entire extended length of the subwoofer. So that may not be obvious from just looking at the thing, but that's how you're creating that port is it runs the entire length of the subwoofer internally.
Yeah, it's a little bit more complicated from a construction standpoint, but we decided to do it that way because we were on a mission for low distortion, high output, and it's an evolution of the prior lines. So we kind of innovated it maybe 2 generations ago, maybe 3 generations ago, but we're continuing to perfect it with that transition and that foil shape, our own research and development. So yeah, it's interesting because we're moving more air also with these subs because they're very, very large displacement. The 16 inch woofer is, it's a 16-inch frame, but it might even be close if you look at it to a 15, but what we call a 15, but it has easily twice the displacement. So this new model is the 1600, truly a beast. People have been asking about where's the beast.
Everybody keeps asking me on my channel.
Yeah.
They're like,
it is an affordable beast. You can. Yeah, well, there are rumors about the beast, but if you put 2 of these in a room with whatever Klipsch you have, heritage included, you're going to get into trouble for sure.
Yeah, I think
I don't want to.
other
I know I'm dominating.
Yeah, no, you're fine. I think one of the other important things to note that will kind of answer a couple questions that I've seen come in, and even Matt's question about what's changed since the last generation and why are we spending time on subwoofers right now, is that we really wanted to be we heard your feedback. Like, yes, we heard your feedback about amplifiers and the quality issues that you all were experiencing with those. And that's why these new subwoofers went through what we call a torture test. And it's really like the lengths that our engineering and development team went through to make sure that these subs are reliable for you all just really speaks volume. So whether that's, you know, in the beginning engineering stages and the testing and, you know, just throughout the whole R&D stages, it's been fine-tuned. So it's worthy of that reference premier name. And it's something that we can put out with a lot of confidence that you won't be having the same issues that you had in a previous generation, because that would just truly be a pity if we didn't learn from our previous experiences. So yes, we did hear customer feedback. We did apply it. Amplifier issues are addressed, and you guys will be really happy. Like, these are subwoofers. I think Paul said it really well. Like, that put a smile on your face. Like, when you just hear them for the first time hit that, like, just drop really low, you almost get like this childlike grin and giggle, and you're like, oh wow, like that was really unexpected. And it's a lot of fun, and that's what I love about working at Klipsch even, right? Like, you're working with a lot of fun products. So to work with something that not only performs well, but will perform for several years is something that our team should be really proud of.
You know, I want to take this a moment to reinforce a point that you have. We have a video of Jay Lawyer, the engineer for the subs, primary engineer, talking about the torture tests. So you guys want to see some balled up woofers? Let's roll that video, Britt.
With the development of these new amplifiers and the RP subs, I wanted to create a test that was extremely brutal and probably more harsh than anyone will ever be able to repeat at home. So this test essentially uses pink noise along with extremely high bursts at low frequency energy, 24/7 for 7 days. And every single component in the system must pass it. Every model must pass. Every part of every subwoofer must pass this test.
Yeah.
Must pass this test.
Well,
it's very like,
yeah,
dun, dun, James Bond, like
Dun, dun,
you
dun.
don't get through the ring of fire, you're
Well,
thrown in the garbage.
I park by the building, you know, where these things have been tested, and it's been months and months and months of scary sounds coming from that building, where they have these extended tests. I leave on a Friday afternoon, and then I come back Monday and it's the same sound. It's like, oh my gosh, what the heck? And
So let me paint the picture for you guys. There is an outbuilding behind the premium audio company technology center, and it's a large barn where we do have a lot of storage, but there's also some QC that happens out there. And these subwoofers make that building vibrate. The building is, I don't know, it's probably 100 feet long by 50 feet deep, and it's just humming. So when you pull up and you turn your radio off in your car, the next thing you hear is this.
It's a rumble. It's seismic. It's crazy.
Seismic. So you walk into the building, and once you get inside the rest of the building where it's actually sealed and protected a little bit more, the sound goes away, but the whole parking lot vibrates around the clock.
I think it's going to be a good day at work when the engineers are getting there early just to play with some toys.
Yeah.
Michael, I don't think you understand. Like, we all know when Mark Castavant is demoing stuff.
Yeah.
You like it loud,
He doesn't
Mark?
do it on the days that we all work from home. I'll tell you that
That's
much.
right.
And we love him for that, because that's how I find, some of the best Taylor Swift songs.
Oh, throwing you under the bus, brother.
Catherine,
I love you. You're
it's
great.
not my personal
seriously,
taste.
you always have a rockin' party going for us. It's a lot of fun.
Well, I do have the office set up now where I can demonstrate the new gen. And so I've got the bookmarks, so if you got the engineering department, then you got my office. So you're going to get something from some, and then
That's why you moved offices. That makes sense.
There you go.
I was like, you have so much stuff in this office because you're like a staple of the company that you've been here forever. God bless you. So like you accumulate a lot of stuff in a well lived in space, and it's just like, I was like, why are you moving offices? But now it makes more sense. You
Well,
demos.
it's approaching Michael's home space. He's got all this. He told us about what he had tested, and I mean, Michael, you can share with us.
Well,
You know,
I mean, I've gone through a bunch of stuff, and I've shared even my journey over the past probably 16 years. I really got serious into home theater because we moved in this home 16 years ago, and we had a room that was 13 by 19 with 10-foot ceiling. And I'm thinking that'll be perfect for a theater room. Of course, I wanted one bigger, but I'm like, you know what? Something's better than nothing. And so we began to put together a system. And at that time, I had the RF-83s, I had the RC-64. I still have my RS-62 version 2s for my side surrounds, rear surrounds. Still got my clips, 5800C version 2s and the for Atmos. And over the years, just kept going bigger and bigger. And I ended up getting, I started off with Velodyne, then I went to some bigger Velodynes, then I went to dual Velodynes. And then I heard the RSW15. And that's old school. We're talking back with the RF7, the original.
Mhm.
And it blew me away. And I liked it so much, I bought a second one. Liked it enough, I bought a third one. And of course, you can't have 3 subwoofers up front. It looks weird. So I bought a fourth one. And so then later on, I had La Scalas. I found 3 La Scalas, bought those. So in my front LCR, I had 3 La Scalas and 4 clips RSW15s. Rocked that for probably about 7 years. Phenomenal system. And so I've owned the gamut of a ton of clips over the years. I've always loved you guys. I love what you stand for. I love the clarity, the dynamics, the detail. I don't want a speaker that's veiled. I don't want a speaker that I have to kind of lean in to hear it. I want to know what it's saying. I want to be able to experience that. And I want something that's going to move me emotionally. And so I've always kind of leaned towards that and leaned into that. And so I love what Clip stands for. I love what you guys are doing. And I'm really excited about, this new series of subwoofers. I know a lot of my audience are asking same questions that you guys are in your chat. And, they're wondering, hey, what about the amplifiers? Well, you've heard those cries. And it's like, we're going to make these things so that they don't break. We're going to make them to where we're going to put everything we can in this to make sure it's going to be a quality product for you.
And we're going to give you a 5-year warranty on top of that for these subs.
Yeah. And that's what I've been telling my audience. I'm like, look, they're putting their money where their mouth is. They're going to give you a 5-year warranty, not only just on the cabinet, the internal components, but also on the amplifier itself. So that's a big deal. And so
I feel like if we had punch cards, Michael should have one. Like buy your 10th product.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's exciting for me, and I know that our product development team just appreciates hearing that because we do it for anybody that loves good sound, right? It's not just for the audiophiles who are searching for the pure like orchestra reenactment, but it's also for casual listeners that are just looking to level up their TV sound experience, and with regular watching and streaming or even just music streaming. And it doesn't have to be so complicated, right? To just have a love for these products. And that's what I love about them. They're very approachable.
People that are pretty hardcore about clips, if they have the heritage products, Michael, you mentioned La Scalas, very fast, articulate speakers. And some people are surprised when they discover the low frequency extension of those Scalas being in the 45 hertz range. And they're like, oh, well, why don't they go all the way down? Well, they were purpose built by Paul Klipsch to have that articulate, natural bass, and then the deep bass easily can be handled by one of these subs. Hand it off, roll it all the way down to 40 hertz, use a 14 or 16. And somebody asked, well, are these musical? Are these fast? It's these are absolutely a new breed of subwoofers for the marketplace. They are extremely musical, extremely fast. That is why we name them Reference Premier, because they match with the articulation of that line, and absolutely the Heritage line. And I would add the new powered digital monitors like the 7s and 9s. I actually have a 14 matched up with the 9s in my office, and that's a fully powered, bombastic, all digital power. That's a fantastic modern audio system where you don't have to have separate, amps or whatever.
Where would you roll that off, Mark, on your 9s? Do you just, because I know they extend pretty far down. So do you just letting the sub take over on the bottom octave?
Well, this is what happens with the 7s and 9s. As soon as you plug in to the little sub out, it automatically engages a filter at 60 hertz. So I cross over around 55 hertz. And so the blending is precise. And then, the sub plummets the depths. And that's a truly high output, articulate, self-powered system, full range. When I say full range, easily 20 hertz on beyond 20 kilohertz. And then how many decibels, that's a 115 approaching 120 decibel capable system. And it's self-managing. You don't have to worry about blowing an amp. I mean, that's just one alternative somebody could have fun with. But then again, if you have some of the larger Heritage products in your house, and let's say I have Fortes, by the way, and I love Fortes, and some people might say, oh, Fortes alone are fine, and or Cornwalls, whatever, and I don't disagree with that. However, I do listen to electronic music. I do listen to a variety of music where it absolutely taps below 25 hertz, well below 25 hertz. People are asking, where do you start to feel it? I would say, right around there, 25 and below, you're going to feel it, and it's either there or it's not. And if you don't, if some of the modern music you listen to has some of these deep notes, you'll notice some notes are missing on a lot of systems, and that is the reason. Subwoofer is a great modern invention. Take advantage of it. And I think that when people say, oh, subs are not musical, you have to fine tune it. You got to get them dialed in where they're not overlapping with your main speakers and causing problems, overlap and heaviness or boominess. Heck no, let the sub do what your speakers cannot do. Your main speakers, cross them all the way down, get them out of the way. But that bottom octave, let's say 40 to 20 hertz, when that bottom octave wakes up, the way these subs will do it for you, you're going to say, oh my goodness, I didn't know what I was missing. And I will even add this: if you don't have clips, okay, these subs will make a cheap pair of speakers sound fantastic.
Mark, no.
but they'll spoil
this is not what we talked about in our backstage meeting.
This is your
he broke the rule.
This is your step into it, right? This is your step into great sound.
Yeah, with some great powered speakers.
Look at that.
The 7s and 9s like you were talking about. Although Ryan, I'm gonna need you to hook me up with a RP sub that you got laying around. You know how I am. I just am a scavenger.
Chad and I have a 10.
Any leftovers, she'll take them, right?
We'll take them.
I do. Michael, seriously, I've worked here for 14 months, give or take, and our house is already full. Living room's got a full system with even an elite receiver, because that's under our premium audio company family, so have good access to those. And
how are you going to tell other people, like your friends, your family, your neighbors, about these awesome products if you don't have them in your own home?
Exactly. I was on my dad because he's got a sound bar that I won't mention by brand because they don't pay my bills.
Right.
But I was like, Dad, this is embarrassing. You can't say how proud of me you are if you don't have the 7s or the 9s. And he's like, well, what color do they come in? And my mom was looking at me like, do you want to live? I'm like, it'll be okay. They're beautiful. You'll love it. It's great. Well, exactly. You have to. I'm like, Dad, you got to support the business and the brand. So I've got the whole family on board.
My son began his audio journey, I think, when he was 10 years old, and I bought him a pair of CF2s. And so he went from there to RF7s. I think he had the RF7s when he was about 14 years old. And Later on, I upgraded to RF7.2s. So he ended up getting those when he got married. I gave him my 64. So he's at least got a nice front sound stage in his setup. So he's now 24.
That was one of the things that we always experience with any of, especially with Paul W. Klipsch's seeding all of the colleges in the 70s, is you got your dad's speakers at some point.
Yeah.
But I want to ask Ryan a question, because I know you got to go, Ryan. You're getting ready to walk out the door. Is PWK still right when it comes to these subs?
He is, and I recorded an entire video based on that.
That's fantastic. And why do you think so?
I mean, even in regards to these subs, the efficiency of them is incredible. Like when, Mark starts talking about the port design, making sure that woofer, doesn't go crazy in there, and that we utilize actual air. The wings of an airplane is like a great likeness. Pushing the air faster and faster through the port. You take advantage of the efficiency of these subs, and you take advantage of how low the distortion is. It's been a blast developing these, and I'm super excited that they're in the market now, and that people will be able to take a look and hear for themselves just how incredible they are.
Fantastic. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah.
I know you got to go. Hey, Britt, before we get much farther in, I know we've got like 15 minutes left, but I'd like to show the actual feature video for the subs, so everybody can learn about all the features that are in them.
Yeah, I had my sub thumping on that right there.
I had my mic on in the background. All of a sudden, it says your mic has been muted. I was like, oh man, they could hear me all that time, man. I'm just, oh yeah,
adding your own groove there.
I was, man. I'm having fun.
Somebody asked about a demo song other than Taylor Swift, which, sorry, Mark, I am not mad if you're forever known for that.
I like Taylor. She's got some good stuff every once in a while.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, I mean, more power to you all.
What's the song by her? It's called
Mark. No. Don't do that to yourself. I was going to mention
You're doing
my
it to me. What are you
favorite.
talking about?
No, my favorite is the one that Vlad demoed for me the very first time that I ever heard the 16-inch subs, and that was Partition by Beyonce. So I know that's another like more female-friendly song, but seriously, I just listen to it because the way that the bass just drops in there is wild. Like you will smile and enjoy it. If you're not a Beyonce fan somehow, I don't know how that's possible, then you'll become one instantly. And a Subwoofer fan, obviously.
Look what you made me do. That's the song. That's the song.
Oh, that's the song.
by
Oh,
Taylor
sorry.
Swift.
I was
Look, you
thinking you were
did it
gonna-
anyways. You couldn't help
Mark's
yourself.
throwing down.
Mark,
And-
I thought you'd be like a bad blood kind of person, you know.
Well, Kill Shot by Eminem will wake you up. We listened to that on the Jubilees, and we were dancing in Jill's house, and
Nice.
she had to replace the floors after that photo shoot, but we won't get into that
That's
right
funny.
now. I think
Sorry, Jill.
Matt Summers, somebody was breakdancing. Was it Roy Delgado? I don't know.
It was
Somebody.
not breaking.
Anyway,
It was probably Roy. But I remember that
48
song with that bass hit.
Yeah.
Now, that's a question I have for you. So when you say these subs go down to 20,
Yeah.
does that mean the subs go down to 20 at what roll off, or they start rolling off there?
No. Well, our measurements are 3 decibel roll off, so actually we're speccing them below 20 hertz because that's what they really do. And that's not factoring room gain, and that's not plugging up a couple ports to get the deep extension figures. That's as is out of the box. There's no modification required to get the frequency response that we spec or the output. When we got into the subwoofer business, we gave a decibel output because some people would look only at the power. Oh, how many watts do you have to throw into this thing to get output? Like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000? And our efficiency story is about decibel output with low levels of distortion. We don't necessarily brag about how many watts we have to throw into the sub to get that.
Right.
And by keeping the woofer cool, not having to work itself to death, the amplifier relatively cool, not having to work itself to death to get 120 decibel kind of output. That's who we are. It's who we've always been. I mean, K-horns, Scalas, RF7s, RP 8000s, they're all 100 decibels roughly and up with a watt, So that's who we are. We're about high efficiency and low distortion. And Paul Klipsch, I have to say this, it's happy birthday, Paul Klipsch, by the way, everybody.
Oh, very
That's
cool.
right.
I
His
didn't know that.
birthday, March
Nice.
9th. He's
It's my
born
son's
in
birthday.
1904, I believe.
Mhm.
Right?
Oh,
1904.
cool.
Let's have a toast to PWK.
Very
Toast
cool,
to
man.
PWK.
Go Paul.
Toast. And a toast to Michael's son. You want to give him a shout
Yeah,
out?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jacob Stevens. He's 24 years old, man.
Oh my goodness!
Oh,
All right, there's
wow.
another. There's
Yeah.
another.
Jacob,
Cheers.
my best
Cheers.
advice as somebody that just turned 32 is have so much fun in your 20s because you can be like, I'm in my 20s. It's fine. But
No,
then when
have
you're
fun.
in your 30s, people
Yeah.
expect you to get it together.
That's right.
No, they
Mature
don't.
a
No,
little
they
bit.
don't.
Yes, they do, Mark.
We're not
It's
going to talk
tough
about
out
my age,
here.
and I still don't have together. So don't worry about it. No pressure for you all in your 30s.
Right.
and by the way, if you're in your 20s, buy as many subs as you can. Now's the time to go crazy.
That
All right,
is
so
cool.
let's talk
Have a
about
party.
Paul Klipsch real quick. He is the originator of clean, high definition bass with the folded woofer horn, the Klipsch horn. People, when they first hear that, they often don't know how to react to it because low distortion bass is kind of otherworldly. People are kind of used to distortion in their bass, from maybe their car system, whatever, their college stereo, who knows? But they think, oh, that's a lot of bass. No, actually, you have maybe 10, 20, 30% distortion in there too. And it's like kind of maybe giving the impression you have more bass, but actually clean bass it gets out of the way and you just hear the articulation of the instruments. That's what these new subwoofers do in honor to PWK. And that's what I think is going to set them apart in the marketplace. They have we're approaching it uniquely because obviously we're matching them up with our core lines. So there's a reason, there's a method to the madness, and there is some madness going on, in the Klipsch building when it comes to engineering and doing what is necessary. And we actually, these subs have been anticipated for a while, so we had to take a little extra time. It was like what Paul Masson wine. We release no wine until it's time, or that's an old commercial.
Yeah.
Catherine, you don't know that commercial. Don't act like you do.
I don't either. It was before my time.
Oh my God.
There you go, Michael. Yes.
Right.
Matt knows.
There's a reason maybe why Mark and Matt are up here and you and I are down
Right,
here.
exactly.
They put the
Touche.
kids on the bottom floor.
Touche.
Right.
I will say the
Kids
place,
table.
the place has been thumping. I mean, like
Right.
for the past 6 months to a year, so much sub testing going on internally. The building, full of subwoofers, talking about it, listening to stuff, multiple listenings. I got a question for Mark and Michael because I know you have experience with this. Catherine, I don't think you have, nor do I. What is the benefit of multiple subwoofers?
Yeah, it's a great question, man.
Oh, that's a great,
So-
easy answer, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
There's several benefits.
I'd like
that
to hear
come
from
about.
both of you. Yeah,
Go ahead.
that'd be great.
I'll kind of spit this out from a manufacturer standpoint. Room correction is the thing, but back in the day, Paul Klipsch himself knew that the base loading in your room is very tied to placement. That therefore, the Klipsch horns, they're in the corners, they're corner loaded. But all the other products, corn walls, it can be in the corner, it can be along the wall. Fortes, rear facing passive radiator, you can dial the base loading by how close it is to the wall. Our ports are on the back of our enclosures in the reference line, and you can dial the base. Horn loading, it's very consistent from room to room to room. Highs and mids are going to be consistently delivered. The variable is bass. And your seating position, it's also the effect of your room. So in this room, this is about a 3,000 cubic foot room. So, depending on the dimensions of your room, if they're odd order or even order, and, if they're even multiples, like if you have 8 feet by 16 feet by 32 feet, you're going to have some very prominent peaks and nulls, okay? Because those are even order dimensions. It's better to have odd order dimensions. That's just basic room acoustics. And Michael, you can get into that more in depth. I'm giving the speed round version. But, if you have 9-foot ceilings and you have a 15-foot wall and maybe your depth is 21 feet, those are odd order dimensions, 3, 5, and 7, right? So multiples. So is that right? Yeah, 3, 5, and 7. So divide them all by 3. So that's one approach. Now, if you can't control the dimensions of your room, if you put one subwoofer in your room and you put it in the corner, you're going to activate some of the natural standing waves in your room. So you might have a peak in your seating position, or you could have a null. So if you move your chair a foot or two, you'll find, the bass is better here if I move my couch up or back a foot or two. So where you put your couch is important. Getting it out of the corner, maybe in a little bit closer to your TV. You can see my TV back here. So if you, instead of the corner, put it in a little closer, so it's not halfway or right in the, it's kind of an odd order dimension from the wall. If you have one sub, that can help. But 2 subs are an easy way to fill the room with even bass distribution for all your listeners. It's kind of a room correction in itself, even though that's in some of these AVRs. That's another topic. We've covered that before. I will stop talking now. Michael?
No, you're good. So to me, there's several benefits of having multiple subs. And like you said, if you add one sub to your room, it can fix some things, in your frequency response. And ideally, you want it as flat as you can on the bass response. You don't want peaks because that's boomy. You don't want big nulls because that's a lack of bass. And if you have one subwoofer, I challenge you just to play some music, play something that's got a good solid bass, kind of some varied frequencies, and walk around your room really slow, because you'll find that standing maybe here, you got great bass, man. It's awesome. Take one step, maybe 2 foot to the right, 2 foot to the left, totally different. So when you start adding multiple subs, preferably kind of spread out from your room, maybe one in the front, one in the back. Now, granted, you're going to need to do some things like time alignment, maybe do a little bit of EQ, but the more subs you have, the easier it is to flatten out that frequency response. And I think it's even been said that the best number of subs is infinite. Like if you could have just a ton of subs, then you'd get the flattest frequency response.
I'm borrowing
that one.
Yeah.
I'm borrowing that one, Michael.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So that's one reason to buy multiple subs. It's not about, I see people all the time and they're like, man, that's so overkill for my size room, having multiple subwoofers. No, you're missing the point. If you've got one seat, you may not need multiple, subwoofers. But if you're trying to get good bass for 2, 3 people, in my case, I've got 6 seats. So the more subwoofers you can have scattered throughout your room and dialing those in, the better seat to seat frequency response each person can get. The other thing that I love about multiples is kind of think about it this way. I always go back to like a weight trainer or somebody lifting weights. I'm like 47 years old. I can bench press a certain amount of weight. But the reality is, let's say it's 100 pounds. If I can pick up 100 pounds by myself, how much easier it is if I ask Matt to come and help me. Okay, now
I'm
me
not
and
picking up much though. It's going to be mostly you,
I-
Michael. I'm just telling you right now.
but I get it. But now instead of me picking up 100, you're picking up 50. I'm picking up 50. And then we're like, okay, Mark, we're going to bring Mark into it. So now Mark's picking up 33 pounds. I'm picking up 33 pounds. You're picking up 33. We're like, you know what? Let's just bring in a 4. We'll even get Catherine in on this mix. So now each one of us are carrying 25 pounds. That's a whole lot easier. You know, before me carrying 100 pounds, I may be sweating and man, I'm struggling and I'm grunting. But now that we've split that load amongst 4 people,
it's possible.
like we're doing it effortlessly. And you were Mark.
I lifted a 16-inch sub the other day. It was a mistake.
Don't do that by yourself.
No,
don't hurt yourself.
Yeah, that's
hernia.
I did. That's hernia right there.
Well, that's a really good point. I want to ask Catherine. So, what's available now? What can you get now with the subs, and what will come later?
Right now, you can get your 10, 12, 14-inch subs. So you can get those directly from clips.com. And then the 16-inch subs will be out before you know it. So if you're looking for a big boy, just hold out a little bit longer for us.
So Catherine, can we nail that? Can we nail down that a little bit? I mean, are we talking a month, 2 months? Is it less than that for the 16? Because I saw some people in the chat. They're like, hey, I want to order the 16, but it's showing it's not ready yet.
Right.
And I'm not holding you to a date.
A couple months.
Okay. So it might be.
Right. But there's so many factors and elements that are out of our control. Right.
So that way people aren't kind of getting excited like, okay, it's going to be here in 2 weeks.
Yeah. If you're planning your system. Yeah, if you're planning your system and you have room for the 16s, it'll be worth the wait for sure.
Awesome.
Right. For us, like it doesn't make, we can't give you a for sure date until they've gone through the last quality control check, right? Because 100%. Then it's all in our hands and in our control. Before that, it's in shipping and like beyond that. So
I have to give.
I'll just say it's not too long.
Right,
so
Michael. I didn't mean to cut you off when you were giving us a wonderful analogy of multiple drivers moving the air mass in your room, and you're absolutely spot on. I mean, in our theater systems, we've got multiple subs delivering to a large audience in the theater, making sure it's consistent response in the back of the theater, the front of the theater, middle of the theater. Same thing with your home system, and also displacement. Let's talk about displacement. So in this setup here, I have 4 subs. I know you have 4 subs, and 4 subs is pretty extreme. I get it, but there's also this basic benefit of when you have 1 sub and then you get 1 more sub. And if it doesn't have, people ask, does it have to be the same? No, it doesn't have to be the same sub. You'll get benefits by adding a second sub based on your room modes. But if you do have the identical sub, if you get, let's say, a 12-inch, and well, if you get another 12, and theoretically, if they're placed near each other, you'll get another 6 decibels just by adding that sub. And it's because you're doubling the surface area and you're doubling the amplifier power. So usually it's a little less. If you spread them out, that might be a better way to do it. But you get a lot of bang for your buck. That's my point. You get 6 decibels, which is a lot of acoustic power for that extra investment. To get another 6 decibels, how many subs do you have to have?
A lot more. You
go from 2 to, you got to double it again, right? So you go to 4, okay? And if you have that commitment, and agreement with your significant other or your neighbors, then great, go for it. But Matt Summers, I'm going to drag you into the conversation now, because as our in-house musician and craftsman for all of our cool videos and music, and you're a Renaissance man with music, you're the walking music encyclopedia. But when you think about what a microphone does, it captures this small amount of air sampling for a wall of sound. Think of a symphony, and going to, you're with these microphones, you're capturing a microscopic sample, or a rock concert.
It's always so unfair.
Pick your music, and then a subwoofer. Think of what a subwoofer does. It's a modern marvel. Okay, it should be on that documentary show, Modern Marvels, subwoofers. And if they do, I'll be happy to chat them up on what subwoofers do. But you have a 16-inch driver, an 18-inch driver, our pro drivers. You know, how big do you want to go? You want to go Marty McFly size? You know,
They got them now.
right. I mean, you have these
Solid 3 hertz.
They do.
these air pumps, right? They're air pumps
Mhm.
trying to recreate a wall of sound.
Yeah.
If you've heard a pipe organ in a large church or cathedral, or whatever, it's the room shutters. You're like a reed in the wind,
And it's
those
everywhere.
deep frequencies.
There's
Yeah,
you can't escape the sound.
it's hard to describe that experience. You're reproducing that with a subwoofer, which is really kind of a microscopic version of what is happening musically.
Sure.
So when you have multiple subs, they really do move that wall of air. It makes it even more real. And I will add this, and Michael, I know you know this, but you know, when you have multiple subs, you don't have to work them to death. They can barely move and get the job done. And again, going back to Paul Klipsch, when they're not moving, man, it's clean, it's fast, it's articulate, it's musical, but then it's effortless when you get these crazy movies. And I can start talking about all the crazy movies out there. You know, I love to talk about that. But you have the impact in the movie soundtracks, and what Atmos movies deliver through a killer system. You'll be hard pressed to watch your movies any other way.
You know, I will say that what's interesting, and I know we got to wrap up because we're out of time. But from a production standpoint, so my career in producing music has gone all the way back from I started in the early 80s on 2-track tape, and then all the way until now. What it was you always rolled off the bottom end all the way down below, say 12 hertz, 20 hertz, whatever. Nobody can hear that. Nobody can do anything with that. There's no reason to have that anymore. It'll skip the needle on the record when you master for vinyl, all that stuff. But as we got into the digital age and we realized that not only is there more air below, but there's also more air up above. You know what I'm saying? If you go out to 40,000 or whatever, even though we can't hear it, you can experience it. There's something there in both of those extremes. But as we started having movies starting with Earthquake, having that ultra low frequency noise happen, it became almost a novelty at first, but then it became an integral part of music production, movie production, all of the things that followed from there. And not only that, but you had to be accurate with it. It couldn't be an effect that just was this random thing that happened that shook the room. It had to be, you know, when Eminem says boom, the beat drops and it goes all the way down. It's very precise. And that's what I love about these subs, is because they're able to tackle that precision effortlessly. So I'm just trying to bring it home a little bit. You know, you guys were talking about all kinds of things, and I wanted to round it up to kind of where we are. But that's my favorite thing from the production standpoint. Is we started paying attention to the low end. You know, somewhere in the digital age where it got to be, you know, not about record rumble. It got to be about let's move the room and make something else happen below that. There was a big conversation, and I could go on and on about this, but I won't. You know, at one point about being able to define the bass from the kick drum. We're so far beyond that now. You got multiple bass things happening at different times, and you need the definition and the quickness and the power and the authority to be able to do that. So I was impressed with these subs. It was a cosmic leap going from where we were to where we are now, and I do commend the team for doing that. You guys have done a great job of bringing these to market.
Well, it's passion at the end of the day that gets it done. If you've ever heard Steve Jobs talk about, you know, if you are struggling with a product, at the end of the day, it's passion that makes you finish it to completion and to satisfaction. And all along the way, there's this burden. And I would say, I don't know if burden's the right word. Maybe it's mission, because for those of us who have been here for a long time and then who have joined and get the passion, Catherine, you understand it's about Paul Klipsch and what he stood for, what he established, and us staying true to that, and then carrying it forward. And Michael, you know, your honest input, and we love that because we want to maintain that relationship with obviously third-party authorities in the industry and also educators, because you're an educator. We're trying to, you know, with this listening lounge, we're just to have the touch point with consumers since the
for
pandemic started. It's now an institution for us, and we want to have that touch point and have the questions, live questions. There's so many questions.
Yeah, they're blowing through. I'm trying to reply to a lot of them, even on my side. So yeah, you guys got your work cut out for you. But I think these conversations like this are pretty crucial because, and especially if you're taking kind of in context what your audience is. And I always encourage, every time I produce a video, I always send you a link. You know, I just made one on the Reference Premiere series, just kind of sharing with my audience, hey, here's some new subs that are available. Here's what I'm thinking about them. Haven't tested them. I haven't heard them yet, but I think there's some huge potential here. And if they reach down to the extension that you say that they do, and I'm confident they will, and if the amplifiers are built as solid as you say that they are, and you're willing to back that with a 5-year warranty, you know, so I'm excited about that. And so when I share that, I always say, hey, definitely take a look at the comments, because the comments are going to be a huge resource to you, because you know what your skeptics and your customers and potential customers and the people that used to own clips that you just get so much information from them to know, okay, what is the pulse of the AV community? And so conversations like this on your channel, talking with your audience, I think it's fantastic. And the more that brands can do, I saw somebody mentioned that earlier. They said, I'm so grateful to hear from the brands themselves, you know? And what I responded in the chat was, it's conversations like this that we get to hear more than just the specs. We get to hear the heartbeat behind clips. We get to hear the passion behind you and your team, and the blood, the sweat, the tears, the sleepless nights, trying to figure this thing out and make it really special so that when it comes out to market, you can get behind it with everything marketing wise and go, guys, this is worth buying.
Yeah, Michael, I really appreciate you just lending your time and expertise and experience with us. And I also appreciate that you resisted your urge to follow up and ask about the beast for your audience on camera.
I did it.
So for that, especially because I saw a comment. So Mark, I'm allowed to say the 16-inch is not the beast, although it performs like one.
Right.
But
two are the
that
beast.
beast isn't in development with our master engineers. So stay excited for what Klipsch has in development. It's always exciting. It's always performing high end, and you'll love it. So
if you want the 16,
you
can sign up online for it right now.
Right.
You just can't buy it.
Yeah, you can't buy it right now, but make sure you submit your email on our webpage. We're collecting you'll be notified as soon as it's available.
Oh yeah.
And I know we're getting toward the end, but there are some questions here I just wanted to address real quick. So somebody mentioned the Jubilees, and Corey is, saying, oh, Jubilees will mop the floor. Well, here's a point that I want to make about Jubilees and displacement. Talk about displacement and moving air. If you want to look into that, that's the new flagship, and it's really a marvel of engineering from Paul Klipsch inspiration and Roy Delgado and team. So here's an example of, okay, in your room, if you're getting the loading, right, Michael, if you've got your favorite pair of floor standers, it could be any brand out there that you love, but for some reason, they're not necessarily loading because you've got them positioned for soundstage. Okay. This is why a subwoofer is a great idea for anybody who wants the full response. The purpose of the sub is to give you the deep bass that your mains might not be giving you, the slam factor included. And you can put the sub pretty much anywhere and get that loading and turn it up or down to ensure you're getting the full power of your music. That is what a subwoofer is for a music system and a home theater system. Especially, you need it for low frequency effects. But with music, a subwoofer can enhance any loudspeaker that 100%. May not be delivering the deepest frequencies in the listening position. That is the beauty of a subwoofer. It can enhance any system if it's not loading. And, you can debate. I mean, the Jubilees go down to below 18 hertz, of course, and you should be getting that loading in your room. I mean, if you have Jubilees, you're committed to the room and the setup.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm sure there will be people that say, you know what, I'm going to add the 16 or 2, to Jubilees. I mean, I wouldn't discourage it. And Catherine, as far as I'm concerned, the Beast is 216s. Okay, properly set up. And if you want to go crazy Beast, that's
Get
four
four of
of
them.
them.
Yeah. Put one in each side of your room or one in the corners. Yeah. And
Yep.
I'm with you, Mark. I think no matter whether you have a 2-channel setup or a home theater, I'm not one of the music purists that says no subwoofer in my system. I would love to put a subwoofer in every system, because I think that, like you said, that subwoofer handles just that bottom end so effortlessly. That's what it was designed to do. That's its only function. Let's handle those low frequencies. And I think when you can take some of those lower frequencies, even though a floor standing speaker can handle down lower, say 30 hertz, when you remove, say, 30 up to, 70 hertz or 60 hertz or 80 hertz, now that speaker is going to be able to perform smoother, cleaner. It's just going to sound better, So I'd always run. I don't care how big. I mean, my speakers in my theater room have 12-inch drivers, and I still run them at small. It has nothing to do with the size of the drivers. It's about letting them handle what they're really good at: mid-range, high frequencies, maybe mid-bass. Hand off those low frequencies to the subwoofer and let that do its duty.
Amen.
Fantastic.
Amen. You're in the fold, brother Michael.
Well, and I
it.
can't wait to see. I can't wait to see what you think of these new subs
Yeah,
when you've
I'm
actually had
excited.
time to spend some time with them. And there was a question about the break-in period for speakers. Is that even a thing anymore? I'm not experiencing that especially with the new subs. Are you guys experiencing break-in time?
No, I mean, it's about horsepower, and break-in may have affected some of our heritage products where the drivers just didn't move much ever, and those suspensions are designed for the lifetime typical movement, and out of the box, brand new, they might be a little firm, right? But after, a week of playing, they loosen up to their lifelong spec. They're spec'd at that level. So that may have applied to some of those models, but modern stuff where the suspension compliance, everything, it's kind of out of the box, ready to go, especially a powered sub. The suspensions are a little bit stiff in comparison to like a free floating or bass reflex type of driver. So I don't think that's really, you're going to be breaking in yourself and your room and your family and your neighbors. That's where you're going to be breaking in.
That's right. I've never been one that subscribes to like a break-in period. It's like, you're not going to harm your speaker if you turn it on and listen to it at a good modest volume.
Yeah.
You don't have to run it for 2 days at 70 dB. No, man, sit back and enjoy it. Get your beverage, get your wine, get your whatever, crank up some tunes, fire up your movie, and enjoy that system. That's what it was designed for, and that's what it was made for.
So we may have to do another one. We have
it.
so many questions. We may have to do a part 2. This has gone a little long. I mean, this is an introduction, but we have more videos, right, Matt? I mean, we're going.
The videos you guys have seen tonight are available on the website. You can check that out. Also, if you want to get deeper into more detail, follow us on social media, because we're going to be releasing every week. There's going to be a little bit more of a tidbit, like the one we saw from Jay with the balled up woofers. We're going to have a little bit more of that that's going to come out over the next couple of weeks. So there's all kinds of fun stuff in the works. But these subs have been so much fun to talk about, to plan, to get excited about. And it kept, I will say internally, again, to Catherine's point, we hear you guys. We hear where in the past maybe there's been some issues. And so what we want to do is we want to come out and not come out and say, let's repeat those, but let's fix this and let's move forward. And, as a company, we've always been straight up, and we want to make sure that we're moving forward, being straight up and honest with this. So check out the subs. We're anxious to hear what you think of them. We are very confident in these subwoofers. They will rock your world, and they will do so with the Paul W. Klipsch efficiency story that will surprise you. So with that, I'd like to thank everybody tonight. Michael, you're amazing. Your channel's amazing. Recommend, if you're not following Youthman, check him out. He's doing some really cool stuff in the world. Catherine, thank you as always for offering your unique perspective after 18 months with us. You are, a true Dyed in the Wool fan, but not only that, but also a supporter and an audiophile. You're inventing or investigating your music.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm hearing that
It's a lot
over
of
and over
fun.
again. And Mark,
Yeah.
as always, thank you for being here. You're
Can't
amazing.
help it when we talk about subs. And Michael, Youth Man does great music, great bass. It keeps you young, right? Isn't that the whole?
Yeah, I think so. I think so, man. Because this sure ain't getting any like colorful. It's
No,
turning,
sorry, dudes.
it's getting whiter. So,
Hey, Matt, before we all log off, how can, for those that are joining from Michael's channel, how can they be aware of future listening lounges for Clips?
yeah,
Oh, Michael, you'll have to respond to that. How from
I did.
for your channel?
Yeah, I actually did on my channel. So,
Okay, cool.
I mean, definitely subscribe to you guys. You'll get notifications. But probably you send out emails as well. I imagine saying,
We
hey,
do.
we're going to have one this week. So subscribe to their newsletter. There's a lot of ways that you can be notified. You guys are all over social. So if you look on Instagram, if you look, I mean, Brittany, man, she does an amazing job on that end.
Sure
But if you
does.
follow you guys on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, you're going to see it posted. And a good thing you guys do it every single week, right?
Yep.
Every week right now?
Well, we try. We
Yeah.
we do the listening lounge as often as we can. Usually, we don't try to have a listening lounge if we don't have anything to say. So when
Okay.
we've got something to say, we're out there.
I gotcha.
So
Very
yeah,
cool.
follow us. It'll be an event on Facebook and not only that, but YouTube as well. So that's where we broadcast through. So
Yeah, and everybody tune in for the additional videos. You're going to get snippets and details, and we're going to show everybody the technology that we've invested in this.
Yeah.
As an engineering-based company, we're proud of our heritage and Paul Klipsch, and we're inspired by him. And we appreciate everybody being loyal and faithful to that Klipsch alive sound.
Well, happy birthday, Paul Klipsch, and
Happy
thank you
birthday,
all for
Paul Klipsch.
joining us.
Birthday, Paul.
Hit it, Britt.